Want to get real streams and followers on Spotify? Then stick around because you're about to get some fantastic insider info in this video that's going to help you get featured on real Spotify playlists that'll boost your streams and followers. What's up guys, Justin here. In this video, you're going to discover how to get your music featured on the right Spotify playlists that'll help you grow your followers and streams organically. You'll also get some good tips on choosing the right playlist curators to submit to, choosing the right song to submit, and how you can avoid some of the rather harsh feedback that often goes hand in hand with submitting your music to real playlist curators, because of course, these are real people with their own musical tastes and opinions. Now, this is the third video in a 4-part series featuring Jason Grishkoff of SubmitHub and Indie Shuffle. And if you haven't watched the first 2 videos in the series, I would recommend that you go back and do that now. You'll get a lot more out of this video, as well as the rest of the series, if you go through them in order. So I'll post the links to the previous videos in the video description in case you need to go back and watch those. If you're all caught up already, that's fantastic. I'll let Jason take over and tell you how to submit your music to playlist curators to get the best results.
And then down here on the filters, you can actually just take this list and say, okay, well, only show me the Spotify playlisters. So we can go ahead and do that. I think we need to reset that one. Boom. Only show me Spotify playlisters. And then what were we doing? We were doing indie rock, weren't we? I'm going to go ahead and choose indie rock. Cool. So now I've got all the Spotify playlisters who do indie rock sorted by genre match high to low. And I can go through this list and start checking off the people I want to send to. So I'll just run you through this as I go out. I'll say, okay, cool. Modern Tracks, they've got a 13.6% approval rate in indie rock. Their overall approval rate is 9%. So it turns out that they tend to like indie rock quite a lot. That's a good sign. And I can see here they've approved quite a lot of songs, and they also like alternative. They seem to go a little bit folksy with their stuff, but in general, this seems like the type of group who's probably going to like Tame Impala. Up here, it even tells you, they like indie folk or rock that is new and hasn't been widely distributed yet. Well, good thing, this is Tame Impala, new band. No one's heard of it. It's great. They're going to love this. So, I can go through and say, okay, well, this is a pretty cool band that I might want to submit to. Playlist to. I can also see some other information, like when they do share it, it looks like they share it to this Modern Tracks indie playlist. I can see some stats here. It stays in for 3 months. It gets about 200 plays per month. So I'm looking, if I do get approved by them, I'm probably going to pick up around 600 plays. So you can sort of set your expectations there. Move on to the next person, indie folk and radio. So we can see some notes here. Oh, look, they can speak and write in Dutch. That's useful. Why do they cost extra? Well, they only got a couple days, so they want to focus on more serious. They've approved 420 rock submissions. That's pretty dope. And you can see again where they share. So they almost always share to this new indie April. I assume that's probably a playlist that they change the name of every month. So last month the name was probably New Indie March, New Indie February, New Indie January. And you can see some stats about how many plays it gets, that type of stuff. So as we go through this list, we can sort of analyze and look at this and see if it makes sense to send to these guys. Are they a good match? So you can go through. We can probably start getting down here to some ones that are not good. Like these guys have a genre match of 1.2 out of 5. If I look at their history of approval, they've only approved 2 indie rock songs, and they tend to like instrumental, jazz, hip hop, lo-fi, and neo soul. So unless it's like a super funky Tame Impala song, and there are a couple that might hit that, this doesn't look like it's going to be a good fit, especially because they say up here they like hip hop, chill, techno, sci-fi. So this is an example of someone I would skip for multiple reasons. I can tell that they have barely any listeners on their Spotify compared to how many followers they have. They don't like indie rock that much, which is a huge warning sign. Here's another note worth knowing. They also review for a couple other playlists as well. So that's another issue that we could raise there. They only got a 1% approval rate. So this is an example of how you can sort of do the analysis and decide, wow, these guys are a total waste of my time. Another cool thing you can see is you can get a sneak peek of the type of feedback that they write for other submissions. So that's another one just to sort of set your expectations as you go into it. Man, that's about it on this list. I mean, there's a lot more, but I guess the point of this, how many credits do you recommend for each song, Raul? Good question. I chatted with another musician yesterday, or 2 days ago, who had a really interesting strategy when she used SubmitHub. So she has a marketing budget that she set aside. For some people, it's going to be small. Hers was a couple $100s. And so she bought 200 credits on SubmitHub, but she didn't use them all. She actually started by just using 20 of them. And she went into that expecting nothing. She said, okay, well, this is my very first time submitting. I'm just going to put 20 in so I can get a feel for how the system works and also gauge some of the responses that I get from it. So she sent out those 20, and the first thing she learned was this was probably not the right song to send. So then she tried with another song, and that one got a much better response. And then she started to put her budget into. So one big mistake I see people do is they come on and they go, oh, dope, this site looks really efficient. I'm just going to buy, $500 worth of credits, and I'm just going to pump it all out there because, of course, everyone's going to love my song and share it. And then they didn't pay attention to the genre match. They just sent it to everyone who showed up on the list. Their song's just getting rejected left and right, and that's probably because they were sending to people who wouldn't have liked the song in the first place.
Well, and you know what? I'll say to your point earlier, I don't mean to interrupt, but you had brought up the point that a lot of the bloggers or playlist curators have to listen to 20 seconds of it. And you might have a great song, but if it's really slow in the first 20 seconds, it might not get their attention. They might not listen to it. So when I think choosing the right song to submit to these playlist curators and music bloggers is really important, and having something that really grabs their attention right out of the gate within the first few seconds, I think is going to really behoove you in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, it depends a lot on genre as well. I can think of some genre like neoclassical, for example. It's sort of expected that it's going to be slow out of the gate, but you're right, and you're right on actually more levels. It's not just about the curators on SubmitHub, but I think you'll find that songs on streaming platforms these days tend to perform better when they draw the listener in a bit earlier. It's all about context again. There definitely are times and places for a slower build in a song, and so I don't think it necessarily means that you shouldn't do that. But I mean, if you are an indie rock one and you're starting out with like some spaced out, slow building thing, and you're like, just check out where the song really hits its mark at 4 minutes and 23, the blogger's going to be like, what am I doing here? And also worth noting, bloggers can sort of skip around in the song. So that 20 seconds, it's like an overall timer. I could listen to the first 5 seconds and then 10 seconds in the middle and 5 seconds at the end to get to my 20 seconds. So if they are bored, sometimes they will skip around, but 99% of the time they're starting at the beginning and going. And again, submithub.com/listens, you can see the colon, a radio edit is always a good idea, I think, when you're doing this. But submithub.com/listens, you can actually see all the data of all of the active curators on there, and you can see how long they listen on average. And you'll see, surprisingly, it's close to 2 minutes on average. And so most people are listening to quite a lot. And I think that's because the feedback takes time to write. You have to write at least 10 words of feedback, and 20 seconds is not enough time for most people to do that. So, all right, I hope you're finding this series with Jason Grishkoff of SubmitHub helpful. If you are, please be sure to share it with others. Like and comment if you haven't already. Be sure to subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos like this one. Now, in the next and final video in this 4-part series, Jason's going to reveal a cool new feature of SubmitHub that'll help you find the right song to submit to playlist curators, bloggers, radio stations, labels, and so on. And it's also a great feature to get some free promotion for your music if you're on a tight budget and can't afford to spend money on your music promotion just yet. You definitely don't want to miss part 4, so I'll see you there.